Good morning, and welcome to the Atlanta Church of Religious Science. Such is the nature of life, that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. And you are that opportunity, and so am I. It is the purpose of religious science to make us each fully aware of this, our divine intention. Our flowers today are very beautiful. They are ungiven, but they are claimed by me. And the people who come regularly are probably wondering why I am wearing this beautiful flower today, because I don't usually. I'm wearing this beautiful flower today because it was given to me, sent to me, by Reverend Dominic Polifrone on behalf of the West Nyack Church of Religious Science in honor of my birthday, which is tomorrow. Now, they were going to send one flower for every year, but they couldn't get anybody to drive the tractor trailer. One. So I'm grateful for the flower, I'm grateful to have a birthday, and I'm grateful to be here in fullness and in health, particularly since for the largest part of my life I did so little to promote it. And it makes me aware of the wonders of divine nature in, as, and through us, and in spite of us sometimes. Now, inside your programs you will find two cards. There is a smaller card which we give each week as an extension of this service. It is called the Treatment of the Week card, and there is a new treatment given every week. It is for you to take for the use of yourself in developing a daily program of spiritual work. It is not anything magical or anything prescribed. It is simply a guide and a help, because many people have difficulty in the beginning framing their intentions in words. People find it useful, you're welcome to it, and as I say, there's a new one given every week. In addition, there's a larger card which is printed on two sides. On one side it says, "What do you want?" And this is an invitation to each one of you, as an extension of this service, to request spiritual mind or one of our other practitioners to help bring into manifestation that which you truly want. If you will be as clear and brief as possible with your ideas on this card, it will make it easier for us to work with. If you will put your name at the top of the card, it will make it easier for us, because we will know who we are working for. We will do this treatment work in the course of the week, and we will do it in confidence as an extension of this service. On the reverse side of the card, there is room for you to indicate any number of things that are listed there. If you fill out this side of the card, please give us your complete address and phone number as well as your name. And we ask if you would like to get on our very active mailing list, if you would like to become a member of this teaching healing ministry, or if you would like to volunteer your services in several areas where we need help, such as mailing, ushering, book table assistance. So look that over, and if you're inclined to respond on that side, please do so. You can turn this card in at collection time by dropping it in the plate. You can mail it in later in the week. You can give it to myself or one of our practitioners in person, and it will be taken care of. Now, before we go into our service, I'd like to say one more thing. Those of you who know about the ordination on March 4th, Thursday evening, if you plan to attend it, if you will, on the What Do You Want card, on the reverse side, write down at the bottom ordination and then the number of people that will be in your party. We would appreciate it. This is not a commitment to come to it. We're not going to chase you down and say, "Why didn't you come?" We're simply trying to get a feeling as we go on of how many people we need to prepare for in the reception, because there will be food and beverage served in the lobby afterwards. I will tell you more about this ordination at the end of the service in the general announcements. But those of you who know about it, if you're coming, please respond in that way. It will save you a telephone call, and it will save us a telephone answering. Now, one other thing. At the top of your program, you notice it says, "Welcome, the auditorium is open before the service for silent meditation." We think that people who come and want to quiet themselves before the service should have a place to do that in, so we open the auditorium for that purpose, and we have music to support that purpose. We think that people who want to visit and enjoy each other before the service should be doing that. That's very important too, so we provide a very large lobby for that. So let us respect each other's intentions. If you're going to come into the auditorium, observe some degree of silence. If you're going to talk and laugh and be happy, which we like you to be, do that on the outside. That way everybody's taken care of. All right. Now let's begin, as we always do, with spiritual mind treatment. And when we do spiritual mind treatment, what we are healing is our mind, our ideas, our concepts. And we do that by knowing something about ourselves that is good and also true. and we thus bring our minds into balance and into harmony and into a position where creativity of all good things can take place. And I do it in the first person and invite each of you to take it for yourselves in the first person. And I know that there is one God, one mind, one universal intelligence, everywhere equally present, always creating out of itself plus nothing else. And I know that this process of creativity therefore produces only total good. I know that that mind, that activity, that creative effort is taking place in, as, and through me right here and right now. All I truly am is perfect God expressing itself as perfect me. There is no other power in the universe that challenges this activity. No false belief in otherness can interfere with it. This is done for me because God is what God is, and I am what I am. And all I am is perfect God becoming perfect man, male or female. Creative action of God takes place in my experience in the form of new, fresh, creative ideas. I accept those ideas and reject all others. I accept them for myself and reject all others. And I realize in doing so that I am fulfilling my highest purpose. The infinite mind of God takes place at the center of my being and radiates throughout the circumference of all my experience. There will never be any more God at work in me than there is now, because it is fully at work. I recognize it, and in recognizing it, I am enlightened by it, and as I am enlightened by it, I am encouraged to pursue these new and enlightening ideas about myself, about my health, about my abundant living, about my freedom of being, about my totally good and loving nature. My subconscious mind hears my word, accepts it, acts upon it, and lets it be so, for so it is. Now, in your program on the right-hand side of the page, there is a declaration of principle. I would like to ask you at this time if you would come a little closer together by standing and saying this as one. I believe there is one creative intelligence operating throughout the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon a law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it, for so it is. Thank you, and please be seated. This month, the month of February, we are talking about, in our series of 4 Sunday talks, the 4 areas of livingness that we need to bring into balance in our lives in order to have a solid foundation for living. Last Sunday we talked about health. This Sunday we talk about love. Normally I do health, wealth, love, and self-expression in this series, but I couldn't let Valentine's Day pass without talking about love, because it's on everyone's mind, for better or for worse, and it is the ideal time to deal with it. And next Sunday we'll talk about wealth or abundance, and the last Sunday of the month we will talk about self-expression or career. And not to be repetitious, but we know that when we are out of harmony in any of these areas, this disharmony tends to discolor all other areas of our living. So we strive for balance. Now, I heard on the radio the other night that the Valentine card business has turned into a multi-million-dollar industry. Now, I don't mean the greeting card business. I mean just the Valentine card business. A multi-million-dollar industry, and they have decided that the reason this has happened is because everybody is interested in love, but very few people feel adequate in love. And they want to contact people at this time of year to speak words of love to them, but they're too embarrassed to do it in person or by phone, and too inarticulate on the subject to write it themselves, so they buy a card, which puts a little bit of barrier of impersonality between the person and the object they are contacting. And they went on to say that the great volume growth in the Valentine card business is in the studio or humorous cards. People tend to buy wisecracking cards and use that kind of a message to convey their lovingness. It's almost as if they are afraid to say anything too serious on the subject. There is a widespread belief that when we say to anyone, I love you, we are making some kind of a fearful commitment that may come back to haunt us. It's almost to the point of feeling it is some kind of entrapment. And so we are very careful about speaking those words. If I went through this audience one by one and asked you when was the last time you said it and to whom and how often do you say it, I think the statistics would be very interesting, particularly when you consider that everyone claims to be very interested in love. There is an enormous urge to express lovingness and goodness coupled with a great fear of doing it, and that conflict that is created between the two things causes a great deal of vague and uncertain thinking and behavior. When you ask somebody to define love, after all the foot shuffling gets done, and after all the blushes fade, they will come out with some kind of a lame definition that they read off a greeting card or got who knows where. You will seldom get any kind of original idea. Often it will be a line from some popular song which they will give you. Now, Ernest Holmes, in talking about love, and he talks about love a great deal in this teaching, quotes Scripture in giving his definition, and the Scripture he quotes says, "He that knoweth not love knoweth not God. He that knoweth not love knoweth not God." And this is one of those statements that you can reverse and have it mean the same thing. He that knoweth not God knoweth not love. Now, knowing in the biblical sense implies not knowing about something, but it implies an intimate involvement with something. And if you read certain passages in Scripture, you will read things that say something like, "And he took her to his tent and knew her." We used to say, "How well do you know so-and-so?" Knowing in the biblical sense implies an intimate involvement with, all right? So, he or she who is not intimately involved with God cannot be intimately involved in love. And we're not talking about God as a theological personality, because you know we don't do that. We are talking about God as a principle, a life-giving principle. So, he or she who is not involved in the living and giving of life cannot know love, because the living and giving of life is love. That's what's behind the statement you hear so often, God is love. So we're not talking about knowing about, we're talking about knowing. We all know about love. We all know about God. We all know about life. But we're talking about intimate involvement with. It's surprising how many people spend their time on earth running from love and running from life and running from God as if they couldn't live up to something. Much of the psychology of our modern world today is the psychology of escape from what we are looking for. That's why we're so crazy, trying to go in two directions at the same time. Now, so then, love, we can say, is an activity that we are involved in giving, or can be involved in giving, not a commodity that we need to be worried about getting. It is an activity. Before it is a noun, it is a verb, an active verb. Right? Now, Ernest Holmes further says that love is the givingness of spirit through the desire to express itself creatively. Love is the givingness of spirit, spiritual givingness, through the desire to express itself creatively. And here again, the key word is givingness. All loving activity starts with giving. The cycle of exchange of love starts with giving. And who has to start the giving? The one who is most aware of the necessity of doing that. Now, many people sit around waiting for it to be given to them, and it never seems to be. And it's not because there's no one in the world that can love them. It's simply because they are trying to operate the principle or the law of love in reverse. And you'll say to many lonely, unloved, I'll put that in quotations, people, what is wrong? And we'll say, nobody loves me. Nobody loves me. We'll say, aren't you loving? Don't you have the capacity to love? I would if the right one would only come along. And the truth is, the right one has come and gone many, many times, and they have not recognized. You can't start loving for someone else, only for yourself. Now, the key is givingness. That starts the activity. The motivation is desire. We give because we desire to give. And the purpose, the reason we desire to give, is because we have an inborn, inbred need to express good. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. To express good, to express it in a unique way, and to give something into the universe. Now, in order to give something good, you first of all have to be aware that you have something good. That's the thing that most people are down on themselves. It is amazing, no matter how successful people are in this field or that field, or how many honors have been bestowed upon them, or how attractive they may be, in their deep heart, too many people feel they are not complete within themselves. They feel powerless. They feel lacking. They feel that someday they will be complete, but not now. And the message of religious science is that if you were not complete, you and I, within ourselves, we would not be here, because we are created by an infinite mind that makes no mistakes. Makes no mistakes. We are created by an infinite intelligence out of itself plus nothing else. And because we are created, we are also fully equipped to survive. Because an infinite mind, the infinite mind of God, does not make things in order to have them suffer, be sick, and fall on their faces. That is both unintelligent and unloving. And if your working concept for yourself is a person who is in constant and continual need, not only do you have a poor opinion of yourself, but you have a poor opinion of God or infinite mind or Mother Nature or whatever you want to call that higher power. You are not involved with the truth about yourself and God. You do not know God. That is why you are not knowing love. Now, many people, watch the language when you talk to yourself or anybody else about love. The word need will come up very frequently, but the word desire will come up infrequently. And there's a vast difference between a concept of desiring and a concept of needing. Because desire is creative, of good. Need has a negative charge on it. Concept of need or being in need of or needy can only produce out of itself more need. The concept of need implies fear you can't get or aren't worth. And how many lyrics of very popular love songs are full of things like, I need you so, I need this, my needs must be met. Emotionally needy people do not attract good. We are afraid to desire. We are afraid to desire. You and I weren't created because we were needed. We were created because we were desired. Desire is the creative movement. You and I weren't created because we deserved to be created either. We were created because we were desired. And it is desire, the attitude of desire in us, that creates for us. It is the starting point of all creativity. Rampant desire. Now that's not lust. Lust is unfulfilled desire. Desire not acknowledged and expressed creatively. Too many people view themselves as loveless when in truth what they really are is unloving. They view themselves as loveless when in truth what they are is unloving. Because, as I said, they don't recognize they can be. There's a popular song on the country and western circuit that I had the misfortune to hear the other night. It is called, and it cannot be bought in stores. You have to send in. And furthermore, it's your last chance. It is called, I Got the Hungries for Your Love and I'm Waiting on Your Welfare Line. How enticing. Makes you want to run right out and slap them. I got the hungries for your love, and I'm waiting on your welfare line. Doesn't it turn you on? Aren't you really eager to meet that person? Sixth or seventh down the line. No, he's probably farther because they always come late. Right at the end. Yeah. Now, the needy. The other one that's always popular, the classic, is You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You. Usually sung by someone who can't sing when they're half sloshed and feeling sorry for themselves. You're nobody till plant fan. Nobody till somebody loves you. And you'll never be anybody with that working attitude. You see, so often we get confused, and when we think we're looking for love, what we're really looking for is our own identity. It's not a search for love, it's a search for identity. And these people who engage in this kind of foolishness are really often very nice people, very successful people, and very attractive people. Yeah, got nothing to do with it. They are cosmetically attractive while cosmically repulsive. Cosmetically attractive while cosmically repulsive. They are cosmically repulsive because they are trying to invert the principle. They are trying to get without giving, and it doesn't work even when it seems to work. And as long as we operate this way, we must fail, not because God doesn't want us to have love, but because we will not understand what we need to understand in order to engage in love-making. It must begin with us. You know, you and you are the only person who will never leave you. You are the only person that was with you from the beginning and will be with you clear through to the end. Now, other people may be with you for 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. That sounds boring. But other people may be with you any length of time. But in truth, you are the only one who will never leave you, and you are the only one who really can register the satisfaction that you seek. And you are the only one who ever really knows you, and you are the only one that has any real power in your life. You cannot give power and responsibility for your life away. It can't be done. So knowing this, it makes us terribly aware of the need to learn to like ourselves a whole lot. Now, this doesn't mean that we turn into cold human beings who walk around saying, I don't need anybody, I don't want anybody, I'm all right by myself. Doesn't mean that at all. It's the only way we can become the kind of human beings that have enough warmth and energy left over to give out to others. If you and I will start the process of love giving, it must be returned. It is a cosmic law. Now, it may not be returned through the apple of your eye, the one you have currently picked out to return it to you. Love will make its own channels back to you. So often we talk to people who have a hold of some individual and have decided that all their loving is going to come back through him or her. And then they get to tell you what kind of an individual this is. And it's an individual usually that is patently not interested. They don't see that. They think that he or she would be interested if they only tried. And they aren't, or incapable. But we get very neurotic about it and very obsessed, and we begin to view that individual as our last chance for happiness. Therefore it is. Because while we're busy clutching at the throat of that person, trying to wring some love out of them, all the other open and flowing channels of love in the world are going right over us and right past us. And the really dreadful thing about it is, as long as we focus in that way, we miss all of this out here. They're going to love me, or I'm going to know the reason why. And of course, they're not going to know the reason why, because they won't accept the reason. You know, it's possible that they just don't like you that much. But they said they did. Well, they changed their mind. That's the bottom line. It's not because of this, because of that, because of this problem, because of that problem, because when people really feel strongly about other people, all these other problems, they accommodate them somehow. Yeah. They don't like you enough. And you know what? That's their problem. Don't make it yours. You invoke the love me or leave me message, because we don't need our life cluttered up by people who we are using unsuccessfully. All right. Now, if this sounds familiar to any of you, it is not because there is anything wrong with you, essentially. It is because there is something that needs adjusting in your understanding. It is a changeable situation. It requires a change in belief. And it's interesting how many very strange beliefs about love are well learned, all of them negative. First of all, we believe that love can be withdrawn or withheld from us, not if we're loving. Not if we're loving. There's a belief that in order to be well loved, we must behave perfectly, think perfectly, act perfectly, we are walking on eggshells, look perfectly all the time, or else there's a danger that love will fly from us. Love cannot be withdrawn if you're giving it. I don't care what you're doing. And the truth is, if you are close with somebody, they have to love you, and you have to love them, even when they catch you washing out the bathtub. Making a mistake, having a temper tantrum, or doing any of those imperfect things that we don't like to think we can be guilty of. Perfect behavior is not the price of love. If it were, there would be no lovingness, because none of us are perfect yet, except Roy Graves. No, none of us are perfect yet. Now, another belief is, and it's kind of the reverse of this one, is that those who really love you would understand your every need and comply with your every request. If you really love me, everything I tell you to do and buy me a lot of presents. You'd comply with every need and know your every desire. But you know, love does not make us mind readers, but we put that condition on it. Why do we do that? So we can have an escape hatch, just in case, so we can have an escape hatch, so we can have our own way out. Love can only come once in a lifetime. My heaven. Only once in a lifetime. That one person is waiting somewhere for me. Love is endlessly flowing through all people, taking all forms. Yeah. That's why it's so hard to wring it out. It's foolish to try to wring it out of someone that isn't giving it to you. Forget them, and forgive them. Love must be paid for by pain and sorrow. Listen to your popular music. I've suffered so, but someday he'll come along, the man I love. And how come you do me like you do? Because you take it like a dummy. It is somehow ennobling to have suffered and then triumph. Nobody likes to suffer. And the only thing you can possibly attract to you is someone with very strong distance, which tells you what you are. All right. I will never find wholeness and completion in my life until I have the love of one other person. And you have all these fragmented people out looking for their other half, you know. But this is one case where physical law does not prevail, because two halves don't make a whole. Two wholes make a pair. Two wholes make a pair. And in the right union, the right exchange of love, your energy is doubled, not merely clear. Two halves don't make a whole. Never can. Never can. The other one that I like best of all is that the ideal love in your life should be someone with the same interest and same opinion. How boring. How boring. What are we looking for? Love or validation? Love or validation? And you see people clinging together like this, they look like Mutt and Jeff after a while. They think the same way, look the same way. They get to look the same way, act the same way, respond the same way, whether they really mean it or not. I'm looking for somebody with interests compatible with mine. It is rank narcissism, out looking for themselves as they are in another form. Love is conditional, total agreement all the time. How boring. And those relationships are very boring and go nowhere. Why do people like that stick together? They don't stick together, they clutch together. They clutch together because they're afraid of doing anything else. All of you have known, I am sure, people who have lived together for years and years and years with their relationship based on nothing but fear and anger and resentment. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. You're far better off apart. Far better off apart, because at least apart, individual people have a chance at some kind of better future. Better alone than in a bad relationship. Now, I'll give you a clue. Love, like a seamless garment, is of one piece. It cannot be successfully experienced in bits and pieces. It's of one piece. And the individual that has too much hate going on, too much resentment, too much unresolved conflict towards anyone is a very poor choice for a lover. It cannot be turned on and turned off randomly or at will. It's of one piece. You meet up with somebody, get interested in them, and you find out that they hate their parents. Be careful. If you meet up with somebody and you find out that they hate their ex-wife or ex-husband, be careful. Or have too many hates or resentments at all. Because it's of one piece, and they will carry that over into your relationship. They have to. They have to. Don't think that your love is going to make them whole. It's not. It never has. One of the most upsetting things to me is to talk to somebody that is all screwed up in every area of their life, and they say, I know this will all go well if only I could find the right person to marry. Because ahead of them lies nothing trouble. Nothing trouble. Many people have tried to solve their problem by marrying someone, and all it does is accentuate them, because you wind up with somebody on the scene who sees it. All right. The love you seek is already a part of you. The urge you feel is an urge to give it, not to get it. We express it best when we express it freely and wisely. When we express it, we activate a law of cause and effect in the universe of mind, and having activated that law, everything we give must return to us pressed down and overflowing. It will return to us through channels, people, ways that it makes out of itself and for itself. It will not return to us through channels that are closed down to it. It is an activity to be engaged in, not a commodity to be accumulated. It is a verb before it is a noun. It is cause before it is effect, and it is of one piece. Now, you are the thing you see. Get involved in that idea. Get to know that idea. And get to know yourself intimately. There is something there that is wonderful, and I can tell you that without knowing personally any single one of you. In fact, I can tell it you better without personally knowing every single one of you. You are the thing you seek. You have it all. You have it all by nature. You enlarge it as you become involved with that idea, because we evolve as we become involved. Get involved with that idea right here and right now, in mind. Don't run out and get a divorce. Don't run out and get married. Don't run out and do anything on the spur of the moment. And quietly, in that secret place of the Most High, begin to realize, to affirm, to think upon these things. You will experience a change in conscience that will lead you to a greater lovingness than at present you or I can. This is the truth, and it's wonder, and so it is. Thank you very much. We now come to our offering. I'd like to remind you that we are all involved in a giving and receiving operation. We are supporting something good and getting something good from it, so that every one of us leaves this auditorium today as a result of our sharing richer in every important way. Mr. David Watkins will play Minuet from Sonatine for piano by Ravel. Will the ushers please come up?